Good morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with Cambium Networks. Today's host is Bruce Collins. He is their Director of Product Management, and he is presenting today. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to submit them in the question box, and I will ask them of Bruce when the presentation is completed. Bruce, thank you so much for being with us today. Appreciate your time. Looking forward to your presentation. You can go ahead and take it over. The floor is now yours.
All right, great. Thanks, Julie, and thanks everybody for joining today. I'm going to be talking about the EPMP product portfolio and some of the new interesting products that we have coming out. Some of them will be a sneak preview that maybe some of you were at WISPAPalooza. You might have seen them there, but I want to give you a kind of a sneak preview of things that are coming. But I also want to start by making sure that you understand all the things that are happening with EPMP 3000, which we're really seeing a lot of interest, and customers are really having some great success with upgrading their systems or deploying new systems with the EPMP 3000 and being able to offer new higher service levels than they were able to offer previously. So as Julie mentioned, there'll be plenty of time for questions. If you want to ask them about anything about the portfolio in general, I'd appreciate it. So without further ado, I'll jump into the details here. The EPMP 3000, as I mentioned, has really been quite a successful product, and we're starting to really see customers deploy it in a lot higher volume. So what's really driving that is the four things on this slide. The EPMP 3000 uses the 802.11ac Wave 2 technology, and that brings with it higher performance. The primary benefit is the 4x4 MU-MIMO functionality, which really doubles the capacity over previous generation technologies. So you're able to talk to two subscribers at the same time. So this is how customers are able to offer 50 megabit per second packages, 100 megabit per second packages. It also offers 80 meg channels, and which is not so commonly used because most customers are still deploying 40 megahertz or 20 megahertz channels. But one area that we do see some real world benefit is the higher modulations. So we're seeing customers get that 256 QAM modulation and being able to take advantage of that for those SMs that are a little bit closer to the tower. So if you have even a handful of stations that are able to operate at that higher modulation, it takes that much more load off the overall system. So all in all, the performance is outstanding. This is the third generation of the EPMP, so it does bring along with it the dynamic filtering, the AP synchronization to reduce self-interference, and then we have on the roadmap here this uplink beam steering functionality, which I'll talk about in a bit. One of the really important things to know about the EPMP 3000 is the compatibility. With EPMP 3000, we can run this in what we call backwards compatibility mode, where I can talk to my current 802.11n devices. I can talk to elevated devices, and I can also talk to the 11ac devices. So I can just upgrade the access point at the time that's most convenient and immediately get some benefit, even with 11n devices. And then as I maybe migrate the top talkers or the SMs that are using the most traffic to one of our Force 300 subscriber modules, the overall sector works better, and sort of it's a nice migration path from 11n to 11ac Wave 2. And EPMP 3000 is the only portfolio, or EPMP is the only portfolio that really offers that migration path. And I'll talk about how that's important going into the future. And of course, we offer a 3-year warranty on the hardware, and you get the support from Cambium and our channel partners like Microcom. So I think this is there's a lot of detail and fairly complex topic here, but really, what is it about MU-MIMO that Cambium is so interested in, and why are our customers so interested in this approach? And this kind of illustrates the benefit of MU-MIMO over some alternative approaches. So imagine here in this table on the left, I'm trying to achieve 500 megabits per second in an AP that does 80 megahertz channels. In order to do that, I need to run, if I'm just using a single channel, a single without MU-MIMO, just a standard 2x2 MIMO approach, I need to get 64 QAM modulation, which means I need 27 dBi of signal to noise ratio. So that's a pretty hefty fade margin in order to get to that 64 QAM. With the MU-MIMO, I can split that and talk to multiple SMs at the same time, or two SMs at the same time. And now I only need to get to 16 QAM, which means my signal to noise ratio is 6 dB less, and therefore I don't need as big of an antenna. I can go and push that distance further, and my overall sector gets larger so as I increase the number of subscribers I can hit. If I want to move up to 1 gigabit per second or double that capacity, that's really not possible with 11AC Wave 1 product. With a proprietary product, or I want to do it in a MIMO environment, I would need to go to 4096 QAM and need 44 dBi of signal to noise ratio. Whereas with MU-MIMO and something like the EPMP 3000 or even our PMP 450M product, with MU-MIMO, I can split that into multiple streams that are running at lower modulation, and each one of those streams has a lower signal to noise ratio requirement. So, apologize, that's a lot of detail, a lot of numbers, but what does it mean? It means that with MU-MIMO, I can go longer distances, I get more throughput, and I can use smaller antennas. And so you may have guessed what I was comparing and contrasting that to, as an example, a Ubiquiti AirMax AC Gen 2 product, which is a 11AC Wave 1, or the AirFiber LTU product, which uses just MIMO but higher modulations. So again, that's why Cambium is so invested in MU-MIMO, and you'll only see that growing in the future. And speaking of future, here's an evolution slide that shows that compatibility and life cycle story that you get with EPMP. If I start back in the old days here, we started with Gen 1 of EPMP, and that gave us about 200 megabits per second. Then we introduced EPMP 2000. That gave us interference mitigation. So that Gen 1 gave us the synchronization. We solved that with synchronization, which gives us channel reuse and reduced self-interference. Then with the 2000, we added the uplink beam steering and the dynamic filtering, and that really helped with outside interference. And then with the 3000, we offer up to more than a gigabit per second, and with that 4x4 MU-MIMO, so lots of capacity, but with all of the interference mitigation. And as an operator, you're able to talk backwards compatible from any of those SMs, can still talk to that EPMP 3000. And vice versa, if I'm on the EPMP 2000, I can actually talk to a future SM as well. But what I want to point out here is that as the technology continues to evolve and the next generation will be based on 802.11ax, we will see another technology transition, and this is going to happen a couple years from now, but it's important for you to know or recognize that any of the Force 300 subscriber modules that you deploy today in a 4x4 MU-MIMO will be compatible with that 11ax product in the future and also operate in MU-MIMO. So you have that nice smooth compatibility story and trend as we go from 11n to 11ac to 11ax. And that's really unique with the EPMP portfolio. So it took a lot of work by the engineering team, but it's really paying off for operators as they kind of can decide at what point do I migrate to that next generation technology based on the business case, rather than having to consider a major rip and replace or forklift upgrade. I can do that as a step-by-step migration. So let's talk about the products. The access point portfolio, we have EPMP 3000, which we've just talked about. We have the 3000L, which is kind of the little brother of the 3000. It's a 2x2 MIMO platform, but it does offer a really nice solution, especially when paired with some horn antennas I'll show you in a moment, to offer sort of a small cell or a lower density areas where you can use that 3000L. We still offer and support and sell lots of EPMP 2000s. Many customers are happy with the performance they're getting out of that, especially with the uplink beam steering and the filtering. So the 2000 will continue on for quite some time. And then you'll see over there on the right, we have a new product, which I'll talk about and give you a kind of a sneak preview of. But before I go there, here's the two different 3000 access points and how people are using them. The 3000L can be used with either a 90 or 120 degree sector antenna. See that on the left. There are 2x2 MIMO antennas that can be used. And then on the right there, on the 3000L, you can see a twist port adapter. This is from one of our ecosystem partners called RF Elements, and they offer a series of horn antennas that can give you, say, 30, 45, 60 degree narrower beam sectors with nice short side lobes, so that you can really direct the beam for a multi-point system into a particular area. So that's become quite popular for extending out to the edge of your network, maybe adding coverage to a new subdivision or small village that you weren't previously serving. The 3000L is a nice solution for that. And then on the 3000, of course, we have three options there as well. We have the 4x4 MU-MIMO sector antenna. In the middle is a true 4x4 MU-MIMO Omni antenna. That's going to be from a partner of ours called KP Performance. I'll show you a slide on that. And then on the right, a product from Cambium, which is a dual horn antenna, and I've got a slide on that as well. Okay, there's the slide. So one of the things that people are using horns for, and I think this is an interesting example, this is from one of our WISP customers here in Illinois. They are deploying 3 horn antennas right next to each other, each in about 25 to 30 degree coverage area. And they're able to offer 150 megabit per second down and 20 megabit per second up service plans in just a 40 meg channel by narrowing up those horns and providing them side by side to hit that area. So kind of an interesting example of using those RF Elements horns to provide greater than 100 megabit per second service plan. So here's a sneak peek at a product that's coming. This is what we call the EPMP MP3000 Micropop. This is a 2x2 Micropop. It's really meant for extending coverage into a small area, maybe using this to provide backhaul to some video cameras or for Wi-Fi access points. It's got an 8 dBi Omni, so it's not going to give you real long distance, but it does give you that capacity that you can inject into an area and provide, light up again a small subdivision or a small part of town that you didn't either have coverage or you need to inject more capacity into. So that'll be coming. You'll start to see that available from your channel partners out in just after the beginning of the year. The other product that's coming soon is what we call a MU-MIMO dual horn antenna. This is an industry first. This offers 60 degree coverage, but in a true dual horn that gives you that narrower beam with small side lobes, but it does give you that full MU-MIMO performance. So this has been tuned, aligned with the EPMP 3000, and you can see the mechanics there. It's a prototype that gives a nice small integrated package for deploying this. And again, it's a great solution to inject lots of capacity into a small area. So look for this to be available from your channel partners in second quarter, perhaps late Q1. The other product I want to mention, this is actually from one of our partners. This is a company called KP Performance. they are going to be introducing a 4x4 MU-MIMO antenna. This is a true 4x4 antenna, and it's been tested and it works with the 3000. You'll actually see it in the drop-down menu when we release 4.5 software, and the ability to actually group the stations together is unique with this antenna. So we're pretty interested and excited about this one. Yeah, you'll see this available in the market in most likely in the February timeframe, based on current testing and development plans. So I give you a sense of some things that are coming. A lot of these are new applications really targeted at extending coverage or injecting more capacity at the edge of networks to kind of complement the full-blown tower deployment. On the subscriber module portfolio, just kind of as a refresher, we've recently introduced 3 new products. That's the Force 319, 19R, and 13. These are products that the 19 and 19R are a flat panel, so the form factor is sometimes better for WISPs that are looking for maybe on a historic home or something and they don't want the full dish, but they can live with a panel antenna for the aesthetics. That's an option. It's also a nice, easy to install form factor. The 19R brings with it IP67 ruggedization. It brings 5 and 10 megahertz channel support and security from a SNMP version 3 and some AES encryption. So we really see 19R positioned for the customers that are looking at maybe a municipality customer that has higher security requirements, an industrial customer that has security and ruggedization requirements. Really helps you check the box on some of those more unique environments. And then the Force 313 is the lowest priced and smallest form factor in the Force 300. It's good for short range connections. It's got that 13 dBi panel. So kind of a nice completion or complement to the rest of the portfolio. And not to leave out our 11N portfolio, we still actively deploy lots of Force 180s and Force 200s. The connectorized is starting to go away. That Force 130 is not available in North America. So really, in the 11N portfolio, you're really looking at the Force 180 and the Force 200. So on the software plan of intent or roadmap, we have had 2 major releases this year. We had the 4.3 and the 4.4 release. You all should be on 4.4 if you're a current customer of EPMP. And we are in beta and closing out the beta on 4.5. We do expect 4.5 to release here in November. It's going to bring some key features like the low latency ePTP mode. It'll drop the frame size to 2.5 milliseconds, give you that option. We'll have that support for that Omni that I mentioned. And then for those that are interested, we are also adding a Spanish language support. That may be interesting to some of your team that wants to have a look at that. And then we still have another release that's in progress that will probably move into the January timeframe. That's going to add flexible frame support for that beam steer antenna, and then we'll also bring in SNMP v3 and a remote spectrum analyzer. So lots of features coming in 4.5 and 4.6. Should also mention that 4.5 has that 10 megahertz channel support, which is pretty interesting for some of the municipal customers deploying in the 4.9 gigahertz spectrum. So that is a quick overview of what's happening with EPMP. I've got plenty of time here to take any other questions. Again, we appreciate your interest in EPMP and always looking for feedback on the community. And you can pass your feedback as well back through Microcom and other channel partners. But we certainly do appreciate your time today. Julie, back to you. Is there any questions?
Thank you very much, Bruce. Yes, we've got some questions. Enjoyed your presentation. And yes, let's start with the first question here. What is the real world subscriber maximum on the EPMP 3000?
Well, I'm gonna read between the lines that that's asking about maximum capacity or throughput. It will depend on the channel bandwidth. So we put a headline data rate of 600 megabits per second on these Force 300 subscriber modules. Now that's going to be with an 80 megahertz channel. Most of you are going to be deploying with a 40 megahertz channel, so that's going to cut that in half to about 300 meg. And then you're going to see the whether you're in that highest modulation and low retransmit phase, you can hit that number. So again, that's still kind of a headline rate, but I think a real usable throughput is certainly in the 200s. And I don't know if I have any slides in here today, but there's certainly people reporting on the community that they've achieved capacities in that range.
Thank you, Bruce. Appreciate that. Next question here for you. Is the EPMP also used as a backhaul?
It certainly can be. So, for example, the Force 325 is a good solution for a point-to-point link, low cost with the dish. You can get pretty long range. So certainly customers use that. We'll also be introducing an EPTP mode in a 4.5 release, which will bring the latency down a little bit, which is especially useful in these point-to-point links. So certainly it is possible, and people use it for whether that's used as a backhaul point-to-point or just a delivering service to an enterprise customer in a point-to-point link. Lots of people certainly do that. So around the globe, that's a very common deployment of EPMP, is to use a single point-to-point. For backhaul, certainly in 5 gigahertz, we also certainly have our PTP 550 as an alternative for a true backhaul. And then for, it's kind of the ultimate reliability is PTP 670 also is a great solution for backhaul in 5 gig or 4.9 gigahertz. And then, so certainly there's lots of options from Cambium for point-to-point links or backhaul links. I haven't even mentioned the licensed microwave, which is our PTP 820. So lots of options, but certainly thousands and thousands, and I would say hundreds of thousands of links have gone out as EPMP point-to-point links.
Excellent. Thank you, Bruce. Next question here for you. Regardless of the product, all items can be monitored on CN Maestro. Is that correct?
True. So every one of these products that I mentioned is managed with CN Maestro, which is our cloud and or on-premises based management system. So I can do things like monitoring, configuration changes, alarms, alerts that come off of the radios, and that can be mixed with our other products as well. So things like the if you're using the PTP 670 as a backhaul, but then you're using EPMP for distribution and perhaps some CN Pilot as a Wi-Fi access point, you can manage all 3 different product lines all through CN Maestro. So one single pane of glass.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Bruce. Next question here for you. Can you tell us about the mounting equipment that comes with the EPMP 3000? Bruce, I think we might be having an audio issue. Are you still with me? Bruce, thank you so much for answering those questions for us. And also, thanks to everyone for attending today. If you have any further questions, please feel free to contact your sales rep or email us at sales@microcomtech.com. And if you wish to view any of the products mentioned or shown here today, please visit us at www.microcom.us. And please remember, this webinar presentation has been recorded and will be uploaded to our Microcom YouTube channel so you can view it again. Thank you again, everybody, for your time and your patience with us today. Thank you, Bruce, for your presentation. Until next time. Bye-bye now.